Are Mournguls any good? Mournguls were introduced to the game with the Curse of the Vampire Coast DLC in Warhammer 2. Although they are available to the vampire accounts, I'm covering them primarily from the Coast point of view here. These guys are seriously scary! Yes, that's a double entendre. Please like, subscribe, comment, and donate plundered gold to my Ko-Fi Cove, or any other way. Thank you very much. Mournguls come in at 16 models in Ultra, costing 950 to recruit for an upkeep of 238 base, but the faction can beat upkeep down a lot, and Silastra gets an extra minus 20% to both numbers for her entire faction. Health is 8,960 total for 560 per entity, which isn't bad. Armor is 30, which isn't high, no better than animated hulks, but they get a missile resistance of 30. Not physical resistance per se, missile resistance. You need to keep this in mind. Leadership is 50, which is far better than standard, but is still leaving them prone to annihilation if they get isolated and damaged enough. Speed is 45, which is going to matter a great deal, because while it's a lot faster than zombies, it's a lot slower than cavalry. Stalk units at this speed can eat a lot of dirt from even wheeled field artillery if the entire army is moving away from your flankers. Melee attack is 36 base, which isn't horrible, and comes with an attack interval of 4, which again isn't horrible. Splash size is medium, but only 4 targets are damaged at maximum, which means they can disrupt, but not nearly as much as animated hulks per damage itself. Mind, the animations most definitely do disrupt, and it's just that they are not true blob killers. They certainly make an impact on infantry units when isolated. Melee defense is 26. This is not high. Weapon strength is listed as 100 flat, but this is where the special brew truly bubbles. Base damage is 30, but armor piercing is 70, and more to the point, the unit has a bonus versus infantry of 20. This kind of bonus is basically unique to this unit in the roster, turning 36 attack into 56 attack against infantry. That's some offense. Nothing against cavalry, but frankly, 36 attack is a lot to hit quite a few cavalry effectively, and the armor piercing is already very healthy. Charge bonus is 28, and that's quite high compared to the animated hulks. So even though this is not a chariot and not cavalry, your theoretical ideal is to have the unit charge into as much stuff as possible, disengage, and then re-engage. Mass is 1500, so they'll barrel into masses and disengage fairly well. These undead units count as siege attackers. They have Stalk, Vanguard deployment, and the Hunger, a weak regeneration effect only active in melee. In other words, it's just not going to keep them alive against overwhelming odds, but greatly helps them outlast opponents in messy fights where they're already winning. It buys them time, and undead units need that. Note that Mournguls cause fear but not terror. Only the hero ones do that. In the Lord Redline skills, Drowned and Bound offers a maximum of plus 8 melee attack and plus 12% weapon strength, which feels like it matters a lot here. On the other hand, that's quote-unquote all you get. This isn't Scarbrand. Rank 7 creepy crawlers benefit from masterly splicing, gaining plus 8 leadership, plus 10% speed, and plus 5 melee defense, which addresses key weaknesses of the unit's design. In the tech tree, Protection from the Elements grants 20% spell resistance, Straining at the Leash grants plus 10% speed and plus 15 flat charge bonus. So that's 43 now. And Enduring Reanimation reduces upkeep by 10% and reduces local recruitment time from 2 to 1. I specify local because that's what I've seen. It's no helping global at all. On the other hand, a Traveling Legendary Lord benefits enormously from being able to crank them out in a single turn. How do you use Mournguls? Well, here's the thing. It's very hard to find something animated hulks did that the Mournguls don't do better, with 2 exceptions: raw hit points and maximum splash targets damaged. While also animated hulks are a fair bit cheaper typically, since they're more valuable, you probably wouldn't want to use Mournguls as your front line, and that's definitely not how you're supposed to use them. But it's not that you can't. More to the point, they're your only natural stalking unit among the regulars, with the Mourngul Haunter hero being the exception for heroes. There's some ancillary stuff that can be used with Stalk, but a lot of cases you can't even use Stalk successfully. The thing about Mournguls, even though their speed starts out at only 45, upgradable to more like 54 at max, they still have Stridor. The thickest forests will not slow them down further, nor hills, incidentally. Trees reduce visibility anyway, so they give you your best chance of backstabbing the foe like a Dungeons & Dragons thief. Thus, they become your de facto cavalry. Now, even though in my head I don't want them to fight against cavalry, I don't want them to fight against spearmen. They're really there to clean out back lines. However, 1. Lothern Sea Guard exist, so that's annoying. 2. Let's go back to their basic profile. They only damage 4 targets maximum in a medium splash. They're armor piercing, and not small amounts of it either. They start at 36 attack and can gain +8 just from the early redline skills. So it's not their strength, but being able to fight large units on those terms, and in forests, where Strider means that they aren't hurt by combat penalties while most large opponents will be, means they can give as good as they get a lot of the time. Their problem is the low armor, not lack of offense or sustain per se. So, what happens if you just attack spearmen head on? Well, obviously any charge bonus is a problem for you, not them, if they have charge reflection. Once in melee, they have low-ish attack, and you have low-ish defense, and low-ish armor, but their attack gets boosted obviously. And also you have something like 56 attack minimum to 64 minimum, and that only increases with XP chevrons, plus any other bonuses you can muster. So you might be facing spearmen with 50, 55, 60 melee defense, and you still have a shot at getting damage in, consistently. Other parts of your roster won't, at least not in melee. Now, on top of that, all of the things that affected animated hulks matter here. Mortars will damage the enemy far more than your side, area effect spells will wreck, and you have a better chance of getting friendly fire through your so-called line than would happen with zombie deckhands. Having gone through all these nightmare scenarios, what we're also left with is that Mournguls stand to utterly annihilate standard melee infantry, elite or not, armored or not. Yes, you have other means of trying to destroy such infantry, but often what you'll end up with is half-damaged units artillery cannot effectively finish off, and all sorts of battlefield chaos that ties down your missile units or makes them focus on higher threat targets. Mournguls are thus, as the lore dictates, sweepers, finishing off units, charging into the next group, taking advantage of any weakness like scavengers. It's just that you shouldn't underestimate them in a stand-up fight. They are that aggressive. The problem? They have a glass wait, they don't have jawbones. Okay, they have glass chests. How do you deal with that? Well, the Lore of the Deep has a relatively low-cost, powerful debuff to enemy melee attack. Lore of Vampires and Lore of Death have their own debuffs, and the former has healing, that's nice. But I'll point you back to Sirens, and say that this unit is tailor-made to help keep the damage against Mournguls reasonable. It doesn't matter what damage the enemy inflicts if the enemy doesn't hit. Life lessons from Gundam apply in Undeath as well. So there you have it. When I was asked if you'd use animated hulks like game, the issue with that is that Mournguls exist and dominate the low armor niche, if you can recruit them due to the time involved and the cost required. You can work with that. Hulks swarm and drown your foes in bulk, but the Mournguls are the spooky slaughterhouses on 2 arms. Mostly, people leave them in the ocean because they focus in gunpowder, and by all means that's great, but Mournguls rock. Note that they were never one of the better settlement sniping options regardless, and patch 4.1 has weakened that even more, but unlike some other stalking units, these are quite powerful in combat. Just remember, glass chests. Take care and have fun jump scaring the enemy's Hellstorm rocket batteries. After that, it's a standard horror show. For them.